Hey, TheChrisDex here, and today we will be discussing why the liquid in Cuphead's cup is indeed semen. Cuphead was one of the most successful games of 2017. Its unique art style set it apart from any other games that have come out in recent times, and its incredibly hard difficulty made it a challenge for all gamers, especially a tutorial which stumped mediocre game journalists everywhere. With the game coming out on the Nintendo Switch and DLC coming out later this year, I thought we should take a look back at what made this game so special. Now excuse me as I go and put some sperm in this cup. Cuphead was first announced in 2014 as an Xbox exclusive. The game featured an art style that was heavily reminiscent of Disney cartoons from the 30s, and was looking like it would be an incredibly unique platformer. But then, news about the game went into hibernation, until E3 of 2017, when a final trailer dropped that wowed fans and people were really wondering, how are they gonna fuck this one up? But fears were thrown away when the game turned out to be amazing, much to the dismay of Mickey Mouses everywhere. The plot of the game was simple. Two siblings known as Cuphead and Mugman decided to take a trip to the casino owned by the devil, who is better than most casino owners. They decide to make a deal with the devil, and if they lose, they would have to sell their souls to him. The Cups end up losing the deal, and in order to not sell their souls, they have to defeat and get the contracts of other people who made a deal with the devil. You know, like most people who get impaled with straws. Then you have to go from world to world defeating all the bosses until you can take on the devil himself and win your souls back. Now this is where the real game comes in. The game has you defeat incredibly hard bosses with a difficulty that separates the men from people who think modern Pokemon games are hard. I'm starting a brand new Pokemon game. I just beat it without a single one of my Pokemon dying. Now the bosses are all incredibly diverse and have unique attack patterns that always keep the game interesting every time you die and have to play the level again. Except this fucking clown. In order to get the contracts, you have to beat the bosses on normal difficulty and do it without taking 3 damage. Now the game lets you buy power-ups and other attacks that increases your chances of being able to take down the bosses, but they don't help that much unless you can figure out which attacks are better against which bosses. There is also an element of randomness, which means you can die to things that are no fault of your own because the pattern of attacks is always changing. What do you mean I died because this game isn't on the PS4? This game is some bullshit! Now what I really think this game does well is making sure you're always addicted to the game, mainly with the screen at the end that shows how close you were to finishing the level. Oh man, I was pretty much at the end. The level of difficulty in this game always gave it those comparisons to Dark Souls and other hard games. But last time I checked, Dark Souls didn't have a talking grandfather kettle, now did they? After you manage to acquire all the contracts from all of the bosses, you move on to the most pain-inducing section of the game. King motherfucking Dice. Ah! My gambling addiction has come back to haunt me! King Dice is a name that sparks fear into all gamers. He has arguably the most difficult section of the game that consists of him rolling a pair of dice and have you move to that specified boss. The higher you roll, the less bosses you have to fight, but if you die on any of the bosses, you have to go all the way to the back and start from the beginning. Now it took me around 45 minutes to be able to beat King Dice, and let me tell ya, I was a wreck by the end of it. Now if you get over the mountain that is King Dice, you will be met by the man himself, the devil. He'll ask you if you're better off giving your souls to him, and if you say yes, I wouldn't consider beating Devil to be as hard as King Dice, but it's still a challenge with some extremely well-made attack and a great setting to finish off the game. When you manage to take down Devil, you will be rewarded by giving everyone their souls back, and everyone lives happily ever after, besides the countless innocent civilians you massacred. Now when the game came out, it got roaring reviews from people everywhere, and it was always nominated for Game of the Year awards. It really showed that using an old technique is still interesting to people to this day. As for me, I really enjoyed playing this game. Its incredible art and my stubbornness kept me coming back and wanting to complete this game. Just don't ask all the people who I told Cuphead was the worst game ever made every time I died. Studio MDHR made sure that every frame of animation was drawn, and I always love when game developers take their time making sure the game is as amazing as it can be, unlike other developers. Another small detail of the game is the fact that the gloves on Cuphead occasionally changed colors. That was a reference to the fact that cartoon designs back in the day didn't have a consistent design. Details like this always put a smile on my face because it shows how much a developer cared. The controls are really easy to learn on PC and on a controller, but I recommend that you use a controller, which is the norm for most platformers. The only negative I have with the game has to be that it doesn't let you play the game in an easier mode. While there is an easy option available for beating bosses, it doesn't count and won't let you fight the end boss. This could discourage casual gamers who don't have a high skill level and only want to play for fun. The game only costs $20 and I recommend it for anyone who loves the challenge. Now I will be picking up the game when it comes out on the Switch, and I assume I will enjoy it just as much as the first time I played it. Cuphead won't be a game that will be forgotten anytime soon. With its unique art style separating it from the pack, it will always have a special place in the gaming industry. For all those reasons, this makes Cuphead one of my favorite games of the last few years. So the only way Cuphead can eat any liquid is through the straw, and the only way they can create more cups is through mating. So this proves that the liquid at the top of Cuphead's head is indeed semen. Case closed. Speaking about that, do you think they would ever make sexual art about a cup? No way. That's too... oh dear lord.